So there's no need to write this line, but since you all are beginners, you should write such statements in order to make your concepts clear. Okay, enter the marks. Now you're asking the user to enter the marks. You see here we were using this less than, here we are using this greater than operators. So you have to keep this in mind. With cout we use less than operators, and with cin we use greater than operators. Double, not single. Now we put the if else condition that I explained you, right? So what happens is now the code comes here, right? It in this line it will check the statement. If this statement is true, then it will execute the code inside this if statement. But if this statement becomes false, it will not go inside this if block. It will just jump from if to else. Well, if the moment the condition becomes false, it will jump out of the if block and move to the else block. So this is how this thing works, right? And yeah, we've already done that. There is no need to do it again. Okay, so this was the whole concept of if else and how to write a program. Now we'll start writing more programs. So the first question that we're going to do today is a very simple one, that is sum of two numbers. Okay, so let's include our header file. Using namespace and main start of the program. Okay, now we have to find sum of two numbers. Define two numbers, that is int a, int b. Now we have defined two, you have defined two numbers in different lines, but we can also write it as this thing. We can also write it as int a comma b, then semicolon. Now there's no need to write int again for this b, right? So you only because you're not terminating the statement after a. Suppose instead of comma you were putting this, right? And then you're writing b. So you'll get an error now. Let's compile. See, b was not declared because you have terminated this statement. This is one statement and this is another statement, b2 semicolon. And in another statement you didn't write any data type, so you're not declaring it. So if you put a comma in between, now this will work. Yes, there's no error. Yeah. So we can define multiple variables. Not only a, b, you can write c, d, e, anything, right? Any number of variables. But for now, we only need two. Now you have defined a and b. So like I just told you about taking input from the user, let's do that here. You'll get into practice. So enter the value of a. Okay, so you're asking, you're not asking the user, you're telling the user that enter the value of a. Now cn, now you're asking the user to actually enter it. So this is how you can ask the user to enter the value of one variable. Now this is just a, we also want the value of b, so you can write cout enter the value of b. Okay, now again you're telling the user to enter the value. Now you're actually asking the user by using cn statement. Now you can see that the program looks too lengthy, like right? So like here we wrote everything in one line. These two lines we combined it into one. Similarly, we are going to combine all of these lines, these four lines into two lines. See how? Let me just comment it out first. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just writing, and instead of writing enter the value of A, enter the value of B, I'm writing enter the values of A and B. Okay. So these two statements are converted into one now. Now left are these two statements. So what we'll do is similarly we'll write cn, that means you want the user to input A, and then again put this operator, and then write B. So now these lines are shortened down. These lines are shortened down to these two lines. See, so this is how we can make our code short, concise, and clean. Let's clean this now. Okay. So now let's execute this, compile. Now we can see that there are no errors. Now run. Now the screen is asking you to input the values if of A and B. Suppose you're entering 4, then you're entering 6. There is no output because you didn't actually sum them here. Take another variable C and write A plus B here. Now you can see out C. Now you'll definitely get your answer. Sorry. Compile. Okay, I'm sure there won't be any error. Yes, there is not. Now run this. Okay. Now let's enter 3 and let's enter again 3. See, you're getting 6. But what if you make it even more short? Skip this statement and simply instead of writing C, write whatever you made this statement, right? C equal to this. So write whatever you wrote in the previous statement, that is A plus B. Now again compile. Sorry. Comment this out and write A plus B. Yeah. Compile. And then run. 4, 5 gives us 9. See, there is no change in the output. You're just making your code even more short. Right? Now, if you want to make it more clear, the sum of the two numbers is. If you want, there is no need. You're just making your code big and lengthy. Oh, what is the problem here? Oh, I didn't put endl here. Okay. So compile this and run it. So I'm using this statement because we need to, because you're a beginner level, and it's always good to write statements in between so that you don't get confused. Like here, value of A and B, 5 and 5, the sum of the two numbers is 10. So this is even more clear than the previous one. So this is on only the purpose. Otherwise omitting this won't make any difference. You can omit this line also and this one also. So here we have wrote our first program, the sum of two numbers. So now let's solve question number 2. So our question number 2 is find the simple interest. Now this formula for simple interest we all know is P into R. Let's use another into P into R into T upon 100. Okay, so this is the formula. Now let's actually calculate simple interest. So how are we going to calculate? Let's look at the formula here. What do we need? P we know is principal, R we know is rate, and T is time. So first we'll declare principal, right? Then we'll declare rate. Then we'll declare time. Like I told you in the previous question, we can declare these multiple variables in a single line. So let's do that. Instead of writing it in 3 lines, let's write this in one single line. Principal, rate, and time. So all of these 3 parameters are defined in one line now. Okay, this looks more clean. Now you've entered this. Now you want to tell the user enter principal, comma rate and time. Now use cin statement. Principal, rate, time. Again, like I told you in the previous question, we can write these 3 in a single line. So it will be cin principal. Why am I doing this again? So that it becomes very clear to you and you never forget this. Okay. So here, let's execute this much and see what we have coded and what's the output. Compilation done, run. Enter principal, rate and time. We'll enter principal as 100 rupees, rate as 4% and time as 2 hours. There is no output because we didn't write anything after this. So let's declare our simple interest SI and write the formula. Principal into rate into time. Put this inside one bracket and divide it by 100. Okay. Now here you have written the formula of the formula of simple interest. After the user enters the principal, rate and time, automatically the program will calculate SI from this formula because we have all the 3 values from the user and it will give you the output. So it's a piece of cake. Very easy question. Now let's compile and see whether our program has any error or not. It does not have any error. Now let's run. Let our principal be 200 rupees, rate as 6% and time as 4. 48 is the simple interest. You can add a statement. The simple interest is. Okay. Again compile. It is done, then run. 600 rupees, 3% as the rate and 4 hours time, and we have 72. The simple interest is 72. So this looks so neat and clean, right? Adding statements give you a clear explanation. Okay, so here we are done with the second code also. Now let's move on to the third question. Now you have to find whether a number is odd or even. Okay. Okay, so now we need to find whether a number is odd or even, so we need to enter a number. That means we'll first declare our number, then we'll ask our user to enter the number, and then we'll use cn statement to get this number from our user. Now comes the use of if else statement that I taught you. If, what's the condition for odd number? If our number modulus 2 equal to 0, see out the number is even. Okay, and if it is not, see out the number is odd. So here our else block finishes. Now, how did I find out about this? Take any even number, right? Take any even number. Suppose the even number we took is 4. 4 mod, according to the condition, 4 mod number mod 2 should be equal to 0. Now I told you that mod is not division, mod is the remainder. So when you divide 4 by 2, the quotient is 2, but the remainder is 0. So if a number when divided by 2 gives you remainder 0, that means that number is even. Just leave 4. We'll take another even number, that's 8. Again divided by 2, you will get your remainder again as 0, because 2 4s are 8 and then remainder 0. So this is how you find even odd. Now in place of this, take an even number, that is 9, divided by 2. It is not equal to 0 because it is equal to 1. When you divide 9 by 2, it gives you quotient as 2 4s are 8. 9 minus 8, remainder gives 1. So that is why it is an odd number. So what happens here is that hashtag include iostream, our file. All of this I've explained. Let's move on to here. We have defined our number. Now we are asking the user to enter the number. Now the user will give a number. Now the control will jump to the 8th line and it will check this condition inside the if. If this condition is true, then only it will go inside the if block and execute this. But if this condition is not true, this block will never go into the if block. This control of the program will never go into the if block. It will directly jump from 8th line to the 11th line and it will execute this. And hence, our program will be compiled and it will also give us the output. Now let's mention any number that is even. 66, the number is even, right? Now if you this time you enter in odd number, any odd number, 99999, the number is odd. So this is how you write a program in C++. You need to the key to master a programming language is practicing as many questions as possible. So I'll make you practice few amount of questions, but the rest you have to do on your own if you want to master the language. Now we'll do next question, that is find the average of 3 numbers. Okay, now in this case we need to find the average. First let's discuss how to find average. Suppose you have 3 numbers. Now you have to find the average of 3 numbers. Don't suppose you have 3 numbers, a plus b plus c. You divide by n. Now what is n here? N here is the total number of variables, that is a comma b comma c. That means this will be divided by 3. So this is how you find average of three numbers. So let's take a number x. Don't assign any value. We are going to take output from the user. Take a number y. Take an integer, another integer. Then take another variable z of integer type. Now again, like I said, we can also do this in one line. Now we can see out and write enter the values of x, y and z. Okay. Now we'll ask the user to enter these values. If we execute till here, if we compile, we can see that there is one error. What is it? Yeah. Here I missed one operator. Let's again compile and we see that there is no error. Yeah, there's no error. Now let's run this. We will enter the values. Right, it's working fine till here. Now moving next, we have to find average, so we'll take int average, or we can also take float average, but let's just take int average. Again, the formula that I told you about, sum of the three numbers, put this in one bracket. And it will divide it by 3. Now we can simply see out our average. It's very easy. Now again compile. After compiling, you see that there is an error. Right, I did ABC. It's XYZ. I'm sorry. My bad. Now again compile. Yeah, it's executing just fine. And now we'll run. We'll write the values and we get our average as 4. We can make it more clear by adding a cout statement here. The average of the given values is. Okay, so we'll compile our program and there is no error. We run it. The three values. So the average is 199. So this is how